Welcome to the Ear for Fear podcast, the horror movie podcast that boils and ghouls and dead alike are screaming for. Don't be afraid to listen as Rick and the Creeps bore their way into your brains, slither down onto your arteries, into your still beating hearts.
Hi, welcome to the Ear for Fear podcast. This is the podcast that talks about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. I'm Rick. I got Scott back in the house today.
Hello.
How you doing, bud?
Good.
Thanks for coming back out, man. Last time you were out, we did the stuff. I appreciate you coming out.
It's good stuff.
It's good. It was good stuff. No pun intended, I guess.
Pun intended.
Pun intended? All right. We can do that. Yeah, I think from now on, I'm just going to say Scott. I'm just not going to throw your last name out because I think you're going to be on here enough, to have you just Scott.
Sure.
Just Scott. Hey, before I forget, because I forgot to do it last episode, is there anything you got going on that you want to plug? Like, I know you're doing some new music, right? Are you guys, no, nothing? Got nothing? Okay. I thought you said you were doing some new music or something. All right, maybe that was some other person I was talking to.
Maybe sometime later in the future, but
nothing.
Thanks for asking.
Nothing. All right, cool. No worries. Today, you and I are going to do 2018's Mandy. Let's see. You recommended this. I'd heard about it. I remember when it came out. Nicolas Cage, which I know I don't know if he's your favorite actor, but I know he's up there.
I can't hide that. I want to make that clear up front that I am a pretty big Nicolas Cage fan.
Yeah.
I am very aware that not everything he does is gold, and there is a lot of shit throughout the years. I think that's a thing that's very known, that he is one of those actors that kind of pushes the envelope. He does things nobody would ever think of.
He does do that,
but he also just kind of does whatever comes his way.
I mean, the thing is, Nicolas, he's a great actor. That's what I think people forget about, because I mean, he did a lot of big movies years and years ago, and then I don't know what happened. Like, he just started taking whatever was thrown his way. I don't know if he got in trouble with like the IRS or something. I don't know if that was a thing.
That was part of it.
That was part of it.
Yeah. So his 90s were the big glory years, 90s and early 2000s. That, when you're on top, an action movie star, you can afford to buy a Tyrannosaurus Rex skull and outbid Leonardo DiCaprio for millions of dollars. Yeah. But at some point that catches up with you.
It does.
And it did. And he just... Yeah, basically, I think that the IRS caught up with him. He owed a lot of back taxes. He had to just basically start doing whatever. Yeah. I think that may have coincided with some, because I know he was kind of on top and doing like National Treasure 2, and that made a lot of money. All those movies made money.
And didn't he do the crude movies, those animation
That
ones?
was kind of after.
Was it after?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think at some point doing Ghost Rider, that kind of damaged things.
Those were bad. I wanted those to be good.
Yeah,
those were bad. Those were bad. They weren't good.
I know.
I wanted them to be good. Like, it should have been good, and they weren't good.
I've only seen the first one. I always kind of wanted to go back and watch the second one just to say
I think I watched the second one, and it was really bad.
Yeah,
it was really bad.
And I think that, coupled with the money owed, just basically led to him doing a lot of these straight to DVD, VOD stuff that lasted. Like, there were some gems within that time period.
There are.
Some notable ones are Bad Lieutenant 2 Port of Call, which is a pretty great movie. Werner Herzog film, which is fucking out there.
Yeah.
And then a movie like Joe, which is also a great film.
Oh yeah.
But then during that there was a dry spell, and Mandy was sort of the end. Because he's in kind of a new Renaissance Cage age.
I think he is. I really do. What was the one? The one when he was driving. Shit.
Oh, the 90s one?
Was it a 90s
Gone
one?
in 60 Seconds?
No. That one, no.
Oh, okay.
Not that one.
There's a really shitty one he did called Drive Angry.
That's it. That's the one.
Another...
I never saw that one, but no, Gone in 60 Seconds I love. I love that movie.
Yeah.
That's a cool movie. No, Drive Angry. I remember the trailer for that, and then I just never watched it. I'll be honest, like...
The log line for that one is hilarious, though. If you just read the synopsis, it's probably on IMDb or the back of the DVD case. It's like he hunts down the demon that's responsible for killing his pregnant daughter, and he breaks out of hell to avenge the...
Okay, that's
ridiculous.
interesting. Okay. I did see... what was the one... Okay, I saw... That recent a year or two or so ago, the one where it's like a Chuck E. Cheese ripoff, the animatronics, where he literally has no line throughout
Willy's
the movie.
Wonderland.
Dude, I wanted that to be good.
I wanted it to be good.
I thought
too.
the concept was kind of cool, and it was terrible.
It wasn't very good.
It was not good.
It could have been.
It could have been really good.
Yeah.
The color out of... What's that one? The one that kind of psychedelic, Color Out of Space,
so these are the
something.
Good ones. Yeah, Mandy, Color Out of Space, Pig, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. These kind of films, kind of his comeback. These are great films.
I still have not, and I know the last time you were here, we were talking about Pig. I still haven't seen it. After watching Mandy, I'm going to go and check out Pig, and then that other, and then I know he's doing that vampire movie coming out.
Renfield.
That one actually looks fun.
It looks fun.
Dude. It looks fun.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I love about Nicolas Cage, because he's a phenomenal actor, and people always forget about that. But then he does, like you said, these other movies for a paycheck. But I mean, I don't think at times, I can't speak for him, but does he really take himself serious? Does he know he knows some of the ones he's doing are crap, right?
That's the thing with him, is that I don't know if he does. He's very serious about his craft.
He is. He's
If you've
eccentric.
seen him in interviews, he's very serious and intense about his craft. He's not always serious, but he's serious about his craft. So even these like ones that we throw away, I think still in his mind there's something redeeming about it, where he's playing in his mind a character and he's approaching it in a way he's never done before. So at least for him, it may be artistically, fulfilling. Yeah. And maybe he just sees that aspect more than anything else.
Perhaps, yeah.
There are some middle ground movies in all those years too. Some ones like the one where there's like is it a virus that causes all parents to want to kill their children?
Oh yeah, I wanted to see that one.
It's worth a watch. It's not great.
Was it pretty good?
But it's not worth the. I mean, it's worth the watch. It's not amazing or anything, but there's stuff like that in there too, where it's like
I remember the trailer for that, and I was like, oh, I want to check this out, and then I just forgot about it because I think I may have read like some bad reviews on it, and then it just escaped me. And
I forgot what it was called. I can't remember
it either. But do you want to do a quick synopsis? Do you think you could tackle a synopsis for this, or do you want me to kind of...
The thing with Mandy is that the synopsis is so simple. It's a revenge fantasy. It's a heavy metal revenge fantasy. And it's, without... I mean, you can know this without spoiling the movie. There's really no spoilers here. Is that it's two people who are in love, a couple who kind of have their little section of the world that they live in, and it's invaded by this crazy cult, and she is basically killed, and he spends the rest of the movie hunting everybody down and killing everybody.
That's a good synopsis.
And that was in the original trailer. I mean, the movie's called Mandy.
I mean, So, I mean, we'll do just because if anyone hasn't seen Mandy, we'll do a full spoilers alert.
1, 2, spoilers coming for you.
It's interesting, man, because I remember when this came out.
I saw this one in the theater.
Did you see it?
It only played for one day.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I believe everywhere.
When I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, I have an idea what this movie is gonna be. And then again, this was 2018, so it was 4 or 5 years ago, and it just, like a lot of Nick Cage movies,
right?
Because he cranks so much of them out. I want to check them out, and then I just forget, and then we do an episode, and here we are.
Sure.
But I'll be honest with you, starting to watch the movie, it felt very kind of artsy, stylized, very much so.
Big time.
Big time. And but I was very entertained with this movie, and I think the fact that I like Nicolas Cage added to that. I think if
gives a great performance,
he really does. And if I think if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't like this as much. I think that's fair for me to say that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, he does bring something that no one else can bring to a film.
Yeah.
So, and especially if it's a good film already on its own merit, it's got a good director, it's got a good visual aesthetic, and he's the icing on the cake. But yeah, he makes it something that it wouldn't have been otherwise. But the movie has amazing actors, especially the guy that plays Jeremiah Sand.
Oh yeah,
that's a great performance too.
Yeah.
And it for a horror movie and for this guy's second film is, he's got a great cast and there's some great performances in it.
It really is. The director, and I hope I'm saying his name right, is Panos Cosmatos.
Yeah.
Does that sound correct?
That is correct. He is the son of director George P. Cosmatos. Who,
okay.
Not a great director. He's most famous for Rambo 2. First Blood Part 2, Rambo.
That's a great movie, though.
It's a great movie, but
for the 80s, it's a great
Sylvester
action movie.
Stallone basically shadow directed that movie.
Okay.
So most of his movies that he's known for, the stars of those films shadow directed.
Oh, okay.
So also Cobra, Sylvester Stallone film.
Oh, well, that wasn't a good one. That's a guilty pleasure, but it's really not a good movie.
That's Sylvester Stallone's answer to like Commando, but
Yes,
it's like
that's
not
very
anywhere
much
near
so.
as good as Commando.
Which is funny you mentioned Commando because
Bill Duke.
is in this.
Yeah.
I'm like, he did a lot of stuff in the 70s, and then he had that resurgence with like Commando and Predator.
Yeah.
And then
Mac.
Mac. And then I was like, oh man, it's Bill Duke. I'm like, this is cool. You know?
Yeah, I remember seeing it in the theater and his name pops up at the end and I like smiled.
Yeah, dude. I was like, this is cool. Now, so when I was looking up Panos, I didn't realize. Did you watch Guillermo del Toro's Cabin of Curiosities?
I'm at that very last episode now. That's the one I haven't seen is his, and I realized he directed was it the last episode or the second to last?
I think it's second to last. Okay. I think it's called The Viewing. It stars Peter Weller, and it has a bunch of other people. You're going to go, oh my god, I know him and her. So I had watched. I wasn't a fan of the Cabin of Curiosities. I thought it was a wasted effort for me. There was one that I thought was pretty good, and it was the rat one.
I liked the first one a lot.
Did you like that one? And then
the other ones were varying degrees interesting.
Didn't care so much for the first one. The rat one I thought was pretty cool. The other ones had little elements here and there, but as a whole, I was disappointed. The Viewing, when I was watching this going, wow, this is trippy. This is very stylized. It's set I think in the 70s, and now that I know he directed this,
it all makes sense.
Dude, it totally makes sense. So when you see it, man, you're gonna go, "Oh my god!"
Oh, man.
I mean, it's very much stylized like he's done with Mandy.
Sure,
he has a way about him. Like when you see other directors, you go, "Okay, that's so and so."
Sure, yeah.
Absolutely for him, man.
Have you seen Beyond the Black Rainbow?
I have not.
Okay,
I haven't.
That's another one.
Is that like it too?
Oh yeah, big. So that's his. He's only done 2 theatrical films.
Feature films, yeah.
Beyond the Black Rainbow was filmed using. So his father passed away. His father, quote unquote, was a director of Tombstone.
Oh.
But also shadow directed by Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, yeah.
If you know anything about Tombstone, it went through production hell. Like the original writer-director was fired by the studio about 3 days in or something like that. He was pissing off the cast. He was pissing off everybody.
Oh, really?
They fired him. It took them a bit to find somebody. I think Sylvester Stallone may have recommended to the producer, George P. Cosmatos.
Yeah.
Long story short, because he was still technically the director of the movie, he's getting residuals. He passed away. All those went to his son.
Oh.
He made Beyond the Black Rainbow using all those residuals,
really?
Basically. Yeah, it was funded from all that.
That's kind of cool.
And you're right. It is heavy on visual style. Because it's his first film, there's really not a whole lot of story. I don't want to really get into it too much because maybe in a future episode. It's definitely worth a watch.
Okay.
Like you said, it's a kind of set in I think it's also set in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
The visual style is like recognizable now that you can see where he's going with it.
When I before, earlier this morning when I was writing down notes, because I just watched Mandy yesterday, and I was like, okay, what else has he done? And then I'm like, no shit. Like, I see it now.
Yeah.
It is riddled throughout that episode, the viewing that he does on that Cabin of Curiosities, man. I'm like, there is no doubt about it. If you had set up multiple movies or episodes of something and you told me Panos did, dude, it would be easy for me to figure out.
Yeah.
And he has a cool, what I like about him, I don't know how old he is, but you can definitely tell he was inspired by other older film directors, probably his father. I haven't seen any of his father other than the ones you're talking about, but maybe his father's earlier work. But he loves the kind of psychedelic. Mm-hmm. He loves bright colors. He loves synth music, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God, because in the viewing it has a lot of that.
Okay.
It's trippy music in the viewing, dude. It really is.
Atmospheric as well.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And to me, with Mandy, I thought I wasn't going to like it. I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I watched the trailer a couple times. I'm like, shit, this is going to be super artsy. I know Nicolas Cage is in it. But then as I'm watching
Which trailer did you watch? Because the trailer that I saw that led me to go to the theater to see this, there was a chainsaw battle. And I said, fuck yes.
Yes, there was a chainsaw battle.
I didn't get artsy at all from that.
I think maybe when I say artsy, maybe it was the colors that they just seemed very...
And that can be overdone because there are a lot of a lot of directors who don't have the experience or taste to do work, so they fall back on post-production and oversaturating things and doing colors. But I think with him it's different. It's very tasteful. He knows exactly what he wants. Some of the stuff is done on location. It's not just in post.
I agree. So I agree with you. Like, I've seen enough movies to know that you have style versus substance. Mm-hmm. And we've talked in previous episodes on this podcast of where directors, they have a vision, but they're not quite sure how to execute it. So they throw all these little tricks to fill in time. And I never felt that he was doing that here.
Yeah.
I really appreciated some of the stylistic choices he made. I could never tell at times, was it a dream? Was it real?
That's right, yeah.
Because some of his cutaways, like when Mandy is walking and Jeremiah sees her, I'm like, is this it felt like a dream almost. Right, and I couldn't tell at times.
There's a part where he does... So somebody you can't tell whose dream it is.
Exactly.
The couple is sleeping in their living room, and there was just some images flashing by, and you can't really tell. And it cuts to both of them kind of just waking up, and she asked him if he was having a dream, and it's but he wasn't in it. She was in it, and it's very surreal. It's like, whose dream is it?
You know what it felt like to me? It felt like a dark comic book.
Yeah.
To me, at least. I don't know about you. It felt like I had that, like I could see me reading this comic book and going, shit, okay. That's what it felt like.
It feels like the director's wearing all of his inspirations on his sleeve in this movie. Yeah. And that's what kind of resonated with me, because all the things that he likes, there are very few times when you go to watch something or listen to music or something, and it feels like that's made for you. Yeah. Because that person appreciates all the same things that you appreciate. Yeah. So, when you're watching this, I can feel, Kubrick in there. I can feel Lovecraft, Ridley Scott, John Carpenter. I can feel all those influences, heavy metal, comic books, dark fantasy, all of these things.
Did this part of this remind you of Mad Max?
Especially like the wastelands. It becomes this apocalyptic at some point, and that's what feels even more dreamlike. Yeah.
Not to mention, the original Mad Max with Mel Gibson. bikers.
Right, yeah,
him
definitely.
seeking revenge.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me.
Right,
and then,
yeah.
as you get into the other films, most apocalyptic,
Right.
That's what it reminded me a little bit. But everything that you're saying, I totally agree, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got all of those throughout. What's interesting is I don't know what the budget was for this, but it felt, I'm not going to say like big budgeted. It felt big though. I don't know how to explain it. Like he tackled this. He had a lot on, like in his mind of what he wanted to do.
Sure.
And the fact that he executed, you got to give him kudos because there's a lot of stuff happening in this movie.
Right.
Because this thing is 2 hours and there is a lot of stuff that's happening. And I'm like, damn, he did a pretty good job of it though.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like a huge budget movie.
No, but it feels like there's a lot.
He knew what to do with everything.
Yeah.
It's like the Terminator. Like the original Terminator was basically an indie film, but they did so much with the budget they had, especially at the end with the actual the T-100 and Stan Winston. And, that movie is so good for the small budget that they had.
Yeah.
So it's like when you have a visionary director who has all this stuff in his head and knows how to get it on screen because it's there from the inception of,
a lot of directors can't do that.
Yeah.
There really isn't, dude. There's not a lot of directors that can execute something like that. And if they have that vision and they don't want to deter from that vision and they're like, look, no, I need to do it this way. And they can somehow execute it. It's like, okay, great job, because most can't do it, dude.
You're right, yeah.
They just can't, I've seen enough movies, and I know you have too, where it's like you have a great concept there, you have a cool story, but then the execution is just so flawed, and it's like, and I thought he did I didn't think I was going to like it. I honestly didn't, dude.
Well,
like I wasn't
50
sure.
years old, and you don't like anything past a certain age.
Shut up.
Right. As we get older, we don't like anything past a certain age.
That's not true. There's a lot of stuff I like. But
I felt the trepidation from you when I mentioned, have you seen Mandy? And I felt like this pushback. And it's like, why doesn't he want to see this film?
I think it was because of the trailer. Which I can't base stuff off of a trailer. I try not to do that much anymore. I want to give something a fair shake. What I try not to do is listen to people. People have their opinions, right? What I might not like, what I like or might not like is you're going to, it could be opposite for you and I or someone down the road.
Sure.
I don't know until I actually watch it. So I can't go and say, yeah, I heard that movie sucks, so I'm not going to watch it. Well, I haven't seen it. Because
right.
I have some of my friends will go, I don't know if you're going to like that, or yeah, Rick, I know you're not going to like that, but I'm like, I don't know unless I watch it, because I just don't. It may just really strike a nerve with me, and I totally dig it. And I'm not going to say I loved Mandy. I'm not going to say that, but I liked it and I was entertained, and really that's all it boils down to, right? Is whether I'm entertained.
Sure, yeah.
So let's run down, I guess, the characters. Nicolas Cage's his character's name is Red. Mandy. Jeremiah is the cult leader. What the cult was? What? Children of the New Dawn.
Yeah, right.
Children of the New Dawn.
It's
my
and it's
God.
just set in 83.
83. Well, as soon as he was driving, I'm like, that's Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is this? And then it goes
right after that shows the
1983.
83,
And so
it is kind of fitting because there was all those, the what's the big one?
Oh, the cults?
Yeah.
You had Heaven's Gate, but I think was it Heaven's Gate? But that might have been, what was the Nike one where they all wore Nike jumpsuits? And that might have been later 80s or maybe 90s.
Oh man.
But you had the Waco, was Waco, Texas a cult?
Yeah, that was.
Of course, I mean the biggest one was, Charles Manson, but that was 70s.
The one I'm thinking of is the one where they all drank. There was like the first one.
Poison,
that drank
they did the punch or something.
Yeah, what?
That wasn't Heaven's Gate.
They did that too.
They did that too.
But
they copied the other ones.
Yeah.
They paid homage
Heaven's
to the other
Gate
cult.
Was trying to get on.
Fuck, I can't think of the name right now.
To like a UFO that was.
Yeah, I think it was the UFO. Were they the same ones that wore the Nike suits? I think they wore Nike
might
suits.
Have been, yeah.
I can't think of the other one either.
Is that the one with the? They made a film about it. Oh man, that's gonna bug me for the rest of this. Okay.
Shit. Maybe. Well, hey, you had the computer right there while we're talking. Look it up. So Jeremiah, Brother Swan, these are all kind of part of the cult, right? Brother Swan, Mother Marlene. You had Sister Lucy, Brother Lewis, Brother, I don't know, man. No, I don't think their names are really relevant. Carruthers is played by Bill Duke. And the chemist, which I just thought was trippy. You're going to have to fill me in on what the whole chemist thing was. That was a little out there for me. But yeah.
He was making LSD for the demons.
So that's where I missed because
I've never taken LSD.
No, I have not taken LSD.
So he's making, yeah, they give it away with the little sheet that he has with all the tabs that you break off.
Oh, okay. So he was the one that was supplying the LSD. Was the LSD laced with something? And that was the whole weird biker Cenobites gang.
Yeah, it kind of tells their story. They were like, I think the backstory is that they were some like drug traffickers, and they got some really bad LSD, and it basically turned them into these Cenobites from
Hellraiser. They look? At first, I was like, oh, these are the poor man Cenobites from Hellraiser, and I forgot what the name of the gang was. I know Carruthers says something about it, but at first I was like, what the hell? Like, this is what was interesting. It was like, okay, did they summon them from some other realm? Really? Like, I'm like, what the fuck? They have some weird flute thing.
The ocarina.
Ocarina, is that what that was?
It's something of Abraxas, the horn of Abraxas or something like that. Yeah.
It was crazy.
Those are the like weird fantasy elements that are kind of just sprinkled in here.
I loved some of the animation that they sprinkled throughout too.
And that reminds me of the movie Heavy Metal.
Yes, for sure.
And then kind of the mixing with otherworldly kind of animated CGI for the backgrounds mixed with kind of like the scenery.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of like Heavy Metal.
I mean, it's a super dark, but at the same time, a lot of colors, mostly reds, some purples and stuff. But it's very dark, but very colorful at the same time. Nicolas Cage's character Red is a lumberjack. Yeah. He's a lumberjack, right?
Right. With the idea that he's maybe like an ex-Marine or something like that.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to ask you because I know you've seen this multiple times. I felt there was a backstory to him and Mandy. Like, were they recovering addicts? And they found each other. Yeah, that's what I kind of got from it.
That's kind of interesting because at the very end, it shows what I think is the first time they met, and they're at some weird show or a party or a
Do they both have the number 44 on their shirts?
He has that shirt. I don't think she has it.
She doesn't. Okay, because I know she wears it in the movie, and then he wears it later.
Right? Yeah, it's his favorite shirt.
It's his favorite shirt. And I wasn't sure. Like, it looked like a concert, but then I'm like, I felt like the fact that he hid his alcohol, I got the impression that maybe he was a recovering alcoholic.
That may be. It seemed like two people who had up until that point hard lives.
Yes.
Because she has scars on her face.
Exactly, dude.
Just because she seems withdrawn, she is drawing these kind of fantastic, they remind me of Frank Franzetta stuff. Like she's drawing these like covers of like... fantasy magazines or something.
Absolutely, man.
And he's working as a lumberjack, and they're both living in this secluded place.
Yeah, out in the forest.
They're both really soft spoken. So it does seem like they've had some intense lives up to a certain point, and then found each other, and both decided to just kind of like just back away from things.
Yeah. And I just chalked it up to, maybe something with, I don't know, man. Maybe some sort of, they're recovering from something. It's the alcoholism,
He definitely has some skills.
Oh, he does.
A particular set of skills.
He does. Because he makes that axe that we see later on in the movie.
He goes and gets his crossbow from Bill Duke.
Yeah, from Carruthers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe maybe he was a Marine or something. And
it's funny. So the movie opens with this, like what I thought originally was lyrics to a song. It's I'm gonna say the quote
it was like
here.
some sort of poem.
It's when I die, bury me deep, lay 2 speakers at my feet, put some headphones on my head, and rock and roll me when I'm dead. And I was trying to find where that quote came from.
I've heard that before.
And there's 2 things I found. Somebody uttered that when they were executed. and that was their last words. And that came from some sort of Grateful Dead.
Oh.
Some deadhead had
okay.
uttered something similar to that.
Okay.
And then I read that is similar to, there's a Marine, it's kind of the same thing.
like a motto or something?
Yeah, it's something about when I'm dead with two M16s beneath my feet and by my side. It's kind of a very similar thing.
Okay.
So it's like a weird rock and roll version of the Marine.
Yeah. Then maybe you're onto something.
So there's some sort of, I don't know what's in Panos' head like where he gets that or what his idea is, but there are a bunch of different elements. And that kind of leads into what I like about the movie, about not explaining everything.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I like sometimes just to kind of come up with my own, I like to try to, whatever the hell that is, whatever I think it may be, maybe it is that, or maybe it's not. And that's okay. I don't need everything explained to me. But yeah, I mean, they definitely are in love and infatuated by each other. They live in this secluded home, but they enjoy it. I know Red makes some sort of comment about moving, but she's like, I like it here.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know if there was any seriousness to that. Maybe it was just one of those things that it could have just boiled down to he maybe hates doing what he's doing. I don't know.
It's kind of a creepy area.
It is.
Well, especially when you get into backwoods areas and backwoods people, there really aren't any rules.
No, not at all.
Things just.
Did you notice they called it Crystal Lake?
Yeah,
which is Friday the 13th.
Oh,
that's where it took place. Was Crystal Lake. I thought that was kind of funny when she's mentioned
Shadow Mountains, right?
Shadow
which is
Mountains.
a real thing in California,
probably.
Which is like down south.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought it was like, oh my, okay, so they're making a reference to, maybe not, or maybe there's no reference to Friday the 13th. But it's
still very like fantasy type.
It is
the Shadow Mountain, and then the typeface that comes up when it kind of. Well, during those chapters of the movie, very
especially the Mandy, when the Mandy came later on, and it was just
like the death metal logo.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Because what's interesting about this is you have metal sprinkled throughout, but you have a lot of synth stuff sprinkled throughout.
Yeah,
you know,
that kind of John Carpenter like atmospheric.
It reminded me a little bit. I was watching it. It reminded me a bit of John Carpenter. And like It Follows. Did you ever see It Follows?
Yeah.
It had that because It Follows had a lot of that synth. I love synth, dude.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But it's interesting that you kind of mix that with heavy metal.
Yeah, right. No, I think it's a nice two things that do go together.
I think they do. But if
John Carpenter's a big heavy metal fan.
Is he?
I think so. Yeah,
probably is.
I do want to mention the guy who scored the film.
Oh yeah,
Johan Johansson.
Oh yeah,
I think I'm saying that right. He's Icelandic. He passed away. This is his last film that he scored, and then I think there was a posthumous film that he directed and scored that was released afterwards called The Last and First Men. It's like I don't think it really has like a story to it or anything. I think it's just imagery to his kind of to his atmospheric music. But he was a great composer.
Yeah.
I picked up the soundtrack to this. He did a couple of Denis Villeneuve films. It's the guy who did Arrival, Prisoners, Sicario. He scored those films with that director. He was the original composer for Blade Runner 2049. But at a certain point, the director Denis Villeneuve wanted to go in a different direction, so they brought in the guy that scores all the Dark Knight movies.
I can't think of him.
Yeah, and Inception. My brain is blanking out.
I do that all the time.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
But no, I love the music. It's atmospheric. It's dark. It's got synth.
It absolutely
beats at some time.
fits this movie.
Yeah,
for sure, dude. It does.
And the first song that plays, which is another thing that connected me to this movie, because I'm in the theater, I don't know what to expect, and it plays that King Crimson song, "Starless."
Yeah.
And I'm a big King Crimson fan, so that right there was you're reaching out to me, Scott.
Yeah.
Here you go.
This is for you.
This is your movie.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Well, I didn't know. Now, I don't know if you know of Celtic Frost. I don't know the heavy metal.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess the hammer, or the whatever the hell you want to call that, the hammer that he ends up, forging.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's based off of their logo or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know that.
It's a very death metal
it really
axe,
is. It
that
really
whole thing.
is.
It's crazy.
But I mean, so this is where it was so, I just didn't know if it was real or a dream, but Mandy has that vision, right? Where I assume she's dreaming of the dead little baby deer, I think it was.
Yeah, like a stillborn deer.
Yeah.
They hear this like this creepy, it sounds like the deer giving birth.
Yeah.
And then she walking out there and
she goes to him, and I was like, is this a damn dream? And then she's walking down the kind of this dirt road, and then of course Jeremiah and his Well,
I think after that's the point where it cuts to them in the living room, and they're both kind of asleep, but kind of facing the television.
Oh,
and then and she asks him if he's awake, or if he had a dream.
And she tells the story about when she was a kid or something.
And so you don't know whose dream that is because it's her in it, but then he says he just had a bad dream and he can't remember it.
Yeah,
that leads to that whole like surreal, like what.
I know. Well, I mean, they introduced the children of the. This is what I kind of liked about it, where these almost little chapters, the children of the dawn, and then it shows all of them, and they're just, dude, like it was believable to me that these fuckers were in a cult.
Yeah, big time,
no doubt.
Creepy.
Man. They're weird, dude.
Yeah.
And then I loved how Panos. He took the similarities of, say, Charles Manson and threw it into the character of Jeremiah, being this like failed musician who, gets pissed off if anyone talks shit about their music because they think their music is so great. Because Charles Manson was a failed musician.
Right, yeah.
And so I was like, this is kind of interesting, that he went down this route,
You were right. The I was going to mention Heaven's Gate was the 70s one. That was
was Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, so
that was 70s.
Yeah.
What was the Nike one? Because I thought the Nike one was called something else, and that was like 80s or 90s. Fuck, dude, I gotta like.
Oh wait. No, they were from the 70s. Okay, that's just a long. It's still gonna bother me. I can't think of the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna after we finish, you're gonna go. It's this.
But it's like a little bit of each of those leaders.
Yeah.
A little bit of Charles Manson, to David Koresh from Waco, and charismatic. And
when I was watching this movie, Mandy, I was like, it's crazy to me that these leaders of cults, that they truly believe that they're some higher being, and that they've been thrown on the earth to do something bigger, and that and the shit that comes out of their mouth is so crazy, but they believe it. That it's like, can anyone really believe that minutia that's coming out of your mouth?
Yeah.
And then that people follow them.
That's the even crazier thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like they all share the same sickness, the same piece of their brain that's not wired right.
It's fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. And I'm just like, and this guy was no different. And they basically pass Mandy on the walk that she's taken, and he is, of course, infatuated or smitten by her, right? And basically tells I think it's brother Swan to go get her.
Yeah. Like he can't. He's just sitting on his bed, and he's just troubled because he has to have her.
He has to have her.
It's bothering him so much.
Yeah.
He's being a dick.
He was a total dick to, I think, Mother Marlene or whatever. He says something like, "I feel like I'm naked right now. I'm running around naked, and I'm not going to be complete until I have her," and all this other shit.
Yeah.
And then they go to their home, and this is when they pull out this. Whatever, dude. What was the name of that? It looks like a flute weird thingy, and then
it was something of like the horn of Abraxas,
dude. And he plays this thing, and I was like, what the fuck is happening here? And then all of these, it looks like these Cenobite bikers from some fucking weird realm come up and they talk all weird and they're drinking some weird ass shit. And then they mention something about blood for blood. And I was like, what do they mean by that? And I guess the idea is to sacrifice the bigger guy.
They give him like the newest cult member.
The newest cult guy. And
they give him that, for exchange for securing Mandy.
Yeah. Pretty much. But dude, honestly, when this was happening, I thought, okay, well, where are they coming? They coming from hell? Where are they coming from, dude? Like, I was like, what? This is trippy. Like, I'm not sure. Is this real? Like, what is happening? Because I mean, I get the whole cult thing. I get that. I'm following that. Okay. And then I'm like, what the hell is this other element? And then, of course, we get an explanation, which makes sense, later on in the movie.
Coked out sadomasochists.
Yeah.
Just
which makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they basically break into their home. They take Mandy and they bring her back to wherever the hell they're staying.
But they were at the house the whole time.
They were at the house the whole time?
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
Yeah.
Oh are you serious?
Yeah, so
I did not get that, dude.
So they put the record on, but they're at their house and they prepare her and they give her that drug.
Yeah,
right in the eye.
Was it LSD? Because she was tripping balls.
Yeah,
she was tripping balls.
LSD or something similar, very similar to, or some version of it, and to prepare her for her meeting.
That makes sense that they were there. I didn't catch that at first.
It did say. I remember the first time I saw it.
You thought so too?
Yeah, the same time. But then the second time I saw it, I was like, oh, they're there the whole time, because then they come out of the house.
That's true. Okay,
and he's tied up outside.
Yeah, he's barbed wired or whatever.
Yeah, he
spends almost half the movie like tied up. It seems like.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe not a half, but yeah. What I loved is that they're playing Jeremiah's music and it's
goofy as shit.
It's goofy and stupid, and he's singing about himself.
Yeah.
And then the cover is I don't even know what he's holding, but it was funny. And then he comes out with this like this speech, and she just literally laughs at him.
Yeah.
And it pisses him off. It's like and you could tell like there's two sides to him, right? Where he's super insecure. He goes into that room and he starts talking to himself in the mirror.
He's crying and his mascara's running.
Dude, yeah, and I loved it. I was like, oh my God, dude, you're just a pussy, man. It's like
he doesn't want also his cult to see that, like, her laughing at him, and he's like lashing out at them. This is insecurity that they'll see that he's a fraud.
Yeah.
Then something snaps, and then he just becomes that crazy guy again.
Yeah, the crazy cult leader, and basically they're gonna this was messed up. I'll be honest.
Scene is. Oh, go ahead.
No. Well, I was gonna say I had thought initially that maybe they really didn't burn her alive. That maybe they had kept her and wanted Red to think that they, again, I've seen too many movies. Of course, when, it happens, go ahead and explain, because I mean, that part was, that was just horrible, man.
I hadn't gotten there yet. I was going to talk about where he's discussing his music before she laughs in his face when their faces are swapping.
Oh yeah.
When I think about being in the theater, I know I hadn't taken, like, I wasn't high. Like, I know for sure I wasn't drinking, and I was completely sober watching a Nicolas Cage movie. But now my memory of that was that I had taken an edible or something.
Dude, it was trippy.
It made me feel like I was tripping.
I thought it was quite cool how they kept doing that.
Yeah,
how it kept transforming from face to face, but it looked like a seamless transition.
Right, yeah.
It was pretty cool.
The visuals are amazing.
They are really amazing in this movie.
But yeah, to get back to what you're saying about her death.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a weight that Nicolas Cage brings to this film that I don't think any other actor could have. It's not just the fantastic, because there is fight scenes and he says some crazy shit sometimes.
Yeah.
But then there is the moments where she's dead or he's dealing with her loss, where he brings this like emotional quality to it that you can feel like that loss. Yeah. It's heavy.
It is heavy. And most actors don't have that other like switch that they can flip.
Right.
Like some actors are good, right? They don't have, they don't have that depth to be able to do what he did. I mean, when she's burning alive and it's crying, you could feel it, dude.
Yeah.
I typically don't do this. I almost started choking up.
Sure, yeah.
Just knowing how much he loved her and he can't do anything about it and she's burning alive.
Yeah, and it's a real, like, his face, and he's screaming, but you can't hear it because it's just music. You can't really hear any of the diegetic sound.
Nothing.
You can see his face though, and he's screaming and crying, and
And
it's tough to watch.
And it's sad to think that someone can do that and not feel a damn thing. The only one that seemed to care was, I think it was Sister Lucy. She seemed to have some sort of She seemed to have some sort of remorse, but was stuck and couldn't do anything.
Right.
The other ones were all just crazy and were getting enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
There is that scene, which is why he spares her at the end. What was her name? You just said.
Lucy.
Yeah,
Sister Lucy. Yeah.
Where I think Jeremiah Sand is envious of their love, and she doesn't want to join him. She laughs in his face. So before they kill her in front of him, he goes outside and he wants to prove to Red that that's not love. This is love, and he basically makes Lucy play Russian roulette. Puts a bullet in the gun, spins it, makes her put it up to her head and said, like, show him what love is. And she does it, but you can tell, like, there's a part of her that does not want to be in that situation.
Not at all.
She's starting to second guess things.
Absolutely. You know what's funny, Scott, is at no point, I mean, yes, he says a lot of crazy shit and he's got them to act on it, right? He really doesn't do anything other than to tell them to do stuff. At no time did I really take him too serious. He just felt like a hack. He was very hacky when it came to, like, he was some watered down version of a cult leader.
Right.
Like he obviously felt at music and was terrible at it, and he felt he deserved more than he ever got. And he just was, okay, well, I got some followers here, but I never took him too serious. Like I never felt that he was, I mean, obviously with Nicolas Cage's character Red being tied up, he couldn't do anything about it. But if he wasn't tied up, I never felt like Jeremiah was going to be able to in any way inflict any sort of, like, I don't know, pain on Red himself. He just seemed, like I said, dude, very hacky.
Sure. And then all those people around who were basically the rejects of the rejects.
Yes,
it's like he couldn't have any bigger fan base. This is the damaged, fucked up people that he was stuck with, and most of them were hillbillies.
They were very much hillbillies, dude, for sure. But I mean, they burn her alive.
There's a couple of striking shots in that part, which goes with his emotion. It's when she's actually swinging around. She's like wakes up at some point, and you can't hear any sound, but it's swinging around because the guy's having trouble holding the rope.
Yep.
And like that adds to the whole thing. And then there's a shot of her mouth. You could see through because they tie her up.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, they tie her up in a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
And it has burned through, and you can kind of make out her kind of her mouth.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Completely burned up.
I loved the part where Nicolas Cage finally gets out of Red finally gets out of the ties, the barbed wire he's tied to. And he goes to her, and it's almost like this silhouette, a little bit of a silhouette of almost like a skull or something. Like you could, but you can see her. At that point, I knew it was. You could tell it's her face,
and then it just kind of
the wind hits it,
and
it just like ashes just go away, and it was like, oh man. And then he goes inside, and I think he ends up falling on the bed, but it tries to. He wakes up, it didn't seem like it took that long to wake up, and then he goes into the bathroom, grabs looks like vodka, and that in the bathroom.
That scene is
super, dude. He kept going from emotion to emotion, like anger and just
that's
sadness.
One of my favorite Nicolas Cage scenes. There's a lot of funny stuff about Nick Cage over the years. Like there's funny videos. Nick Cage loses his shit, and it's in all these movies where he does lose his shit. But the acting is pretty amazing in all those scenes. But this is the one where it's like it's so emotionally heavy. But it goes back and forth. He's sad, he's crying, he's pissed off. He's got this death metal scream. And then it goes back to like just breaking down.
Yeah.
And the camera doesn't cut away at all. It's on him the whole time. It's just him and a cameraman.
Yeah.
And it's a memorable.
It really is.
It kind of ties the movie together as that.
Yeah, it does, because I mean, if you went through something like that, can you even imagine those waves of emotions that you're feeling?
Right, yeah. He wears it well.
He does.
It's pretty
dude.
amazing.
That was an awesome scene. And then I think that's when he goes to Carruthers, which leads to some weird little trailer out in the middle of fucking nowhere.
The guy's off the grid.
He's way off the grid.
He's some old like war buddy, kind of seems like. So I think the idea is that Red gave up that life.
Yeah.
And had him he's holding his crossbow for him.
Which I thought was interesting.
It's not a gun, it's a crossbow.
I thought that was like kind of a cool little, like, I was like, okay. I thought it'd be some badass weapon. And I mean, crossbows are cool. I just didn't expect a crossbow, I think.
Sure, yeah.
And he gets the crossbow, and then they have that conversation, and Carruthers explains to him the whole LSD biker gang. That's where I was like, okay, now I can get on. I feel like that's explained now, and it's not some fucking you're summoning someone from some other.
Yeah, it's not otherworldly.
Yeah,
it's just.
I could get that, right? Like, I mean, if you're doing a lot of LSD and the shit is laced and you fucking went bananas, absolutely, I could see you.
And nothing's ever enough. They're like, there's scenes where they're just consuming cocaine. The guy is just sitting there. They're not eating. He's just sucking up cocaine. They're slurping up that acid. Like
what the fuck? What was that? Was that acid in there?
Yeah, that's like some concentrated, crazy acid sludge.
Fuck, dude.
And he just has a taste.
He just has a little
slurping the shit up.
Yeah. I mean the leather. I wasn't whatever. I mean the leather was the leather was a little crazy. I mean, but whatever.
It kind of goes with the whole kind of heavy metal acid.
It does. It does. I mean, it was crazy, but I was like fine with it. And then he molds that weapon, and he's out to seek revenge.
Yeah, there's some cool fight scenes too.
There are.
When he gets he tracks down the Cenobites.
The Cenobites, yeah.
He tries to run over this car, but it just ends up flipping his truck.
What the fuck was that all about? Okay, because we only watched it the one time. How did he flip that? Because he shot the guy, hit him, but then the guy wasn't dead.
He wasn't dead.
He went to go run him over and then flipped what happened?
There's some fantastic elements in this movie, and that's one of them. They're so crazy and just messed up and they feel pain, but they can't get enough of it because they're sadomasochists and they're wearing metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it ends up flipping the truck instead of killing that guy. But which it leads to him being captured
again, which he's tied up again.
Right. Yeah.
But that doesn't last too long because one of the other, I don't know. Again, these Cenobite looking things. He ends up getting. I think he's handcuffed. He ends up getting somehow twisting the pipe and using it to beat the shit out of the guy, knocking him down some hole.
Yeah.
And then he goes throughout the house. This thing is horrible looking. A couple dead people in a room.
Yeah, it's like their house. It's like
was it their house?
They're squatting at this old couple, and they've been dead for a little while.
They've been dead a while. That makes more sense.
Yeah,
that makes more sense. It's when you see a movie once, you don't pick up all the nuances. When you see it a couple times, you're like, okay, that makes sense.
Because you wouldn't think of that would be their lair, because I was thinking that too, but then he sees the couple and you're like, oh, they're just squatting.
Yeah,
like they're just highway crazy guys, and they just go from place to place.
Yeah. And then he comes across, which is the one what is the next one he comes across? Is it in the living room?
Yeah, the living room. Where he kind of the big fat guy.
Yeah, the bigger fat guy.
Who's just sucking up like a table of Coke. It's just
and the guy sees him in the reflection. He's watching some sort of porno. And he's which I thought was fucking awesome. It's like, okay, he's just watching a porno.
That they're watching TV in this movie. So they're earlier on, before she gets killed, they're watching this like goofy 80s TV show where this guy's got like ray guns and people are disappearing. It's funny.
Dude, the Cheddar Goblin.
And the Cheddar Goblin is amazing.
Fucking mac and cheese. It was Cheddar Goblin. I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
He's throwing up mac and cheese.
Dude, I'm like, this is awesome.
And it's at such an odd time because she has just died and he's woken up. And he's this random commercial.
I was like, what the fuck? And then when he went to Carruthers, if you look in his mobile home or manufactured home, in the very background, you see the Cheddar Goblin mac and cheese.
The boxes.
Yeah.
Like,
this is hilarious, dude. But the guy sees him in the reflection. They have a fight. You know, he ends up getting
slicing his.
He
sliced that guy's throat, and the blood just pours all over him. And he starts doing a Nick Cage laugh like
Yeah,
like a maniacal.
Like he's somehow lost his shit more than he already has.
Yeah.
And then there was one other one. Oh, was that because he ends up killing, was there 3, right?
There's 3. The guy that he knocks down the well comes back. So he kills him in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
And he's yelling things like, give me back my shit, give me my shit, or something. Another kind of Nick Cage-ish type thing.
And then he tastes the little jelly weird shit, and then, he starts tripping.
You get the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Face melting.
Face melting.
Effect shot, which is cool.
And then the last one is out by the bonfire.
And I think that's the one he tried to run over.
That's the same guy?
It's one of those, either the big guy or that guy.
I thought the big guy was the one he tried to run over.
Maybe that's hard,
but he shoots the guy. He shoots the guy with his crossbow through the neck, and he pulls it out, and he's still fine. I'm like, fucking A, what the hell?
Yeah, they're just.
But and then he comes down with his axe and ends up. That's
a pretty cool fight scene.
It's a cool fight scene.
Choreographed.
Yeah. He ends up chopping his head off, I think, and
Right.
then lights his cigarette because he lights the dude on fire and then chops his head off, and then he lights his cigarette with I think it was his head was on fire, wasn't it? And he lights his cigarette with.
I think so. Yeah.
And so now he's off to try to find the children of the New Dawn.
Yeah, he gets a vision of where the chemist lives.
Oh, is that what? Okay,
That's what-
so he
yeah,
goes to see That's right. He goes, and the chemist is the one who's making the LSD.
Yeah, the chemist is the one who's making all the drugs.
I didn't even get that again because I've only seen it the one time.
And that's why he has the tiger. He says that he knows if the tiger's calm, it's good shit because he's feeding the tiger the drugs.
Oh,
so
yeah.
as long as the tiger's not wigging out, he knows it's
that's
good stuff.
right.
If the tiger goes nuts, it's bad shit.
Yeah,
it's a bad trip.
Okay, that scene was a little
idea.
out there. That the scene with the chemist was a little out there. And then he tells him, I guess he tells him they're north.
Yeah. He tells him kind of where to find him. Yeah, just vaguely.
Yeah. And he comes across Brother Swan and Sister Lucy first. I think that's who.
Oh yeah,
Right?
out in the woods. Yeah, they're leaving the camp, and he comes across them and sticks the handle end, which is just a spear, down the guy's throat, which is a fun gore effect.
It is, and then I think he says something that. Brother Swan says something like you're either because he says something about Mandy.
He's
something about you're either burnt. Oh God, you're either burnt out or shit. I can't remember what the line was.
Either burn out or fade away.
Fade away.
That's kind of a famous line
from what's his name? I can't think of the artist.
The Who.
No,
there's a line in a Who song.
I thought it was. I can't think of the artist's name right now. He does a lot of solo stuff. I mean, he's older. He's an older artist, and I can't think of his name.
Oh, shit.
That's driving me crazy, dude. Okay. I'm drawing a blank, too. I thought it was a line from one of his songs.
I think part of it was from a Who song.
Is it from a Who song?
Okay. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of the person you're thinking
I think you're... What the hell is his name, dude?
Cut this.
Cut it. I know. Cut it. I can see him. He still tours, I think. I can picture some of his other songs, and I can't think of his damn name right now. Anyways, he lets Sister Lucy go.
Yeah.
He lets her go.
You can see that she was troubled by...
Yeah, she was remorseful. And
she wasn't saying shit about Mandy because that guy, Brother Swan, is just like saying whores burn brighter as she's dying. It's pretty disturbing.
But he ends up at their... I think basically what's left here is kind of the finale, right? Where he goes to wherever their damn church is.
Yeah.
This church in Alvin.
Like a rock quarry. It's like some industrial area.
Yeah.
And it starts, the landscape gets more and more apocalyptic.
It does.
From that certain, especially when he takes the LSD.
Yeah.
It's just things get a little bit more surreal as you go.
Yeah, it almost doesn't feel real at all. Almost feels like this, almost like hell or something, but definitely post-apocalyptic. Apocalyptic kind of. It almost feels like everything's on fire, or it feels that way at least. Dirty, on fire, a lot. Yeah, I don't know.
And he's getting crazier and crazier. So, like the scene with the chemist, he doesn't have a single line, I don't think he does. And he's just like staring at him crazed. His pupils are dilated. So he's getting crazier, and I think stronger as he gets closer to the cult leaders.
Yeah.
Especially when they get in that chainsaw battle.
Yeah, because he kills. I'm trying to think who he kills.
It's like the hillbilly looking dude.
The hillbilly dude who's somehow waxing the car.
Oh yeah,
he's waxing the car, the old station wagon, which I just thought was so interesting. He's here waxing it. It's dark and it was just funny. But I think he throws the axe and kills that guy.
Throws the axe. Yeah, takes the axe to the head.
Yeah, and then he goes after the big kind of buffed dude, and that ends up being the chainsaw fighting scene, which was
Nicolas
cool.
Cage pulls out a chainsaw, and it's just a regular chainsaw. And that guy sees him coming, and he pulls out this extra long chainsaw.
Dude, I enjoyed the fight. I'll tell you what, if I had anything bad to say, and this is so minute, I felt that the end fight scene with the chainsaw was so, I don't know, it was so quick to end. Like he throws the chain around his neck, pulls him on.
Yeah, I can see.
I felt like it was rushed, dude.
Yeah, like they couldn't. Yeah, I did kind of want more, and I wanted more of an epic.
I felt a little
guy.
cheated.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's another cut out there, and the fighting scene was longer, but I just felt like it was some abrupt end.
Yeah,
that would be my really only complaint.
Right. I have one other small thing, and then right after that scene, he meets the elder lady in the cult.
Mother Marlene.
Yes.
Mother Marlene.
And she's basically trying to say whatever she can to live. That she's like she's basically a good lay.
Yeah,
because she can
much.
anticipate her lover's needs and whatever. And he's not even really looking at her the whole time. And scene cuts to he goes further in, sees Jeremiah Sand, and he tosses
her head. Yeah,
her head.
I actually kind of like that.
Fucking freaks him out.
Yeah.
I think my other issue, which is the way in which Jeremiah Sand is killed. So it's a great scene where he's pleading for his life. He's like, "No, if I could kill me," and
he says, "I'll suck your dick."
Suck your dick,
I'm like, "Dude, you're such a pussy, man."
But then it switches again, and
he
he's
does
like,
switch again.
"I will not kneel to you, like you'll kneel to me."
Yeah.
And at that point, he squishes his head,
Yeah.
which is fine. And I know maybe it's been done before, but I just felt like I didn't feel the full weight of everything. I wanted something more.
Yeah, I
agree. I felt like I wanted an eye gouging, screaming with images of Mandy and everything that he had been through.
Yeah.
Just this intense, just final, like, squishing his head. Maybe he could have, but just more screaming, more agony on that guy's part, and just more coming from, because he had put so much in his performance. I just wanted that last part to have so much weight to it.
I agree with you though on that. I think some flashbacks of Mandy dying or whatever the hell it was, or even
just her image,
how he remembers her and something that would have been good.
Just quick stuff, just a lot, just something to add to that, to the weight and intensity of that last.
Because
kill.
The idea here is like he has so much strength that you can crush a man's skull. I'm sure. I mean, maybe I don't know.
It's kind of one of the fantastical elements to it. I think that's fine. It's just I felt a little like it was too quick.
I did too.
If they would have followed that up with, or started that with some sort of eye gouge, just something that's more painful than that. That guy deserves it.
For sure.
It's not like I want to see that bloodlust, but I want to see a heavy ending to that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, for sure. I agree though. They could have done that.
What do you?
But that's the thing.
We're splitting hairs on otherwise on a pretty great creative. Film.
Super creative movie, dude. I mean, props. I mean, a lot of the stuff that he did throughout this movie. I found myself going, I wonder how that was done. There was a scene with and it was I think it was like something with the camera that I felt like they blurred something out, or I can't remember it, but I was like, damn, that's kind of cool. I'm like, how did they do that? Is that a filter that they would have used for the camera?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was done in camera, because I watched some behind the scenes, and a lot of the color was done with just different colored lights, which is very cool because I'd always want to do whatever they can on the day first, because it always looks so much better, rather than just doing everything in post.
For sure.
But you can kind of tell that they had all this in mind. There's so many scenes where there's just scenery, but the colors are just constantly changing.
Definitely. Yeah. What did you think anything of the number 44? Did you think it was just a you know?
I don't know.
Think
I haven't really.
So
I didn't really look into that.
I looked into it just for the hell of it, just because sometimes when I'm watching a movie, some little things will catch my eye, and I'm like, "There's got to be a reason." And I don't know, but there's supposedly a book. It's an unfinished novel by Mark Twain, and it's called The Mysterious Stranger. And there's a reference to the 44,
Mysterious Stranger. Yeah,
you know,
okay.
And it's supposed to be like it exposes mankind's like existence, and it kind of falls in suit with or falls in line with like Jeremiah and his kind of the children of the new dawn and his preaching and his I don't know whether it did or not. It's just something I had come across. I don't know if Panos had if that was his inspiration, if that even, or it was just a number 44 on a shirt.
Yeah, maybe that's a really creepy story. That's one where I think he meets the devil. The main character in that. So there's a stop motion animated film called, I think it's called The Adventures of Mark Twain. Oh, and within that, it's I think the idea is that they took a bunch of he's going through a lot of his stories, and there's a bunch of kids with Mark Twain, and I think they're in like a balloon, and they go through different ideas from different books that he had, and one of them is there's a Mysterious Stranger portion of that film, and it's a kids movie, and they basically meet the devil, and he's shape shifting, and he shows them these little tiny people who are like, he basically creates these little people, and then he causes a flood and it kills all these people. And these little things, these little cute, like weird anthropomorphic creature things are supposed to represent like humanity, but some of them have like little babies and they're crying because they're being killed with floods. And goodness. I don't know if it's God and the devil or just everything all rolled into one, but basically he's like, I can kill them whenever I want. Like it's a really creepy, especially for a kids movie.
And
it's even creepier that it's a stop motion animated film in like the, I think, mid 80s.
Oh, okay.
It's probably impossible to stream. Probably have to find a DVD of it or something. Yeah. But I remember seeing that. There's probably clips online too.
Interesting.
But I didn't know that the 44 was in reference to that story.
Now whether it's whether that was his intent with the number 44, I don't know. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Interesting. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, you have to check it out.
There's a lot of little things like that in this movie.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like too when they're not they're more just kind of, they're there, but they're not thrown in your face so much. Where it's just a kind of like and it's just something you pick up along the way. Yeah. But maybe you don't pick it up the first time. Maybe you pick it up a couple watches down the road. But it's just not so damn in your face, and they're shoving it down your throat. I can't do.
Right,
don't do that to me. Let me figure all that out. Because I'm, the thing is, most people are smart enough to pick up stuff, right? Mm-hmm. They don't need you to hold,
beat them over the head,
or grab me and pull me and by my hand to lead me to this to this spot. I can figure it out.
It feels like the writer or director is showing off, like, this is my literary reference.
Yep. Oh God, a lot of directors do that. Ugh,
I like annoying. Just the little simple nods that that don't have anything to do with anything. It's just, I'll throw this in there.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that you think we may have like not touched on? I mean, I think we got through most.
Yeah,
of
I mean, I could go on about Mandy.
Okay, we're limited
Nicolas
on
Cage all day. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's become. I know it's not perfect, but I really love the film. I think it's definitely worth the watch, and it's become one of my kind of go-to. Yeah. Like if I want something that's entertaining or just I want to get wrapped up in, I'll throw it on.
Sure. Yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed this, and I probably would recommend it to someone, especially if they're a Nicolas Cage fan. I think it's a movie they have to check out.
Or if you like visual, really visual, kind of abstract. I mean, it's got a story too, but it's a feast for the eyes.
It really is. It really is. But I guess that's it, man. Yeah. Thanks again for coming out. Do appreciate it. I guess that'll do it for us for Mandy. Everyone, take care. You listened all the way to the end. We appreciate that. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Ear for Fear Podcast, Twitter at Ear for Fear, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Ear for Fear Podcast. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There we list news and events. We're available on all the main platforms, so make sure you tell a friend. We hope you come back and get an earful.